Yeah, she's got some nice long hair.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Welcome back into another amazing episode as we preview the Chicago Bears versus crazy good Buffalo Bills. But first, as always, my friend, Mr. Johnny PayPal, how are you doing, my man?
Pretty good, Brad. Pretty good. Yeah, like I was telling you before, I got a new job, so I was all excited about that this week. So yeah, providing family for the kids, that I don't have. But yeah, it was exciting, and yeah, now I'm just excited for this Christmas Eve game. It's gonna just feel so right, with all the snow and the weather that we're supposed to have. I'm pumped for it, Brad.
Yeah, as we all know, I think majority of the people that listen to us are in the Midwest. We have the winter storm coming, and right now I saw supposedly it's -11 where I live.
Yep.
So it is freezing cold out here, and like we said, we live in Wisconsin. It's a little bit colder, but it's going to be cold. I'm looking at it right now. It's saying it's going to be a low of 1, a high of 11 on Saturday in Chicago. So we'll just have to see. Right now it's snowing. It doesn't look like it'll be super snowy, but it looks like it's going to be windy and cold. So that's going to be the topic.
It's going to feel colder. It's going to feel colder, Brad, because, you got to factor in that wind. I mean, like
lakefront
-1 with the lakefront. It's going to probably feel like -15.
And Jalen Hurts said it. He said, Chicago is different. He said, yes, we are the Eagles, but it's different when you play in Chicago and it's cold. But also, PayPal, not just the cold, it's going to be Christmas. So first off, happy Hanukkah to everybody who celebrates Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, whatever you're celebrating this holiday season. I hope it's fun. Stay safe. But PayPal, we got Christmas coming up. So I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite Christmas tradition?
I always love these festive questions you always ask me.
Yeah.
It gets me in the spirit. I still, one of my favorites is still when we get the Christmas tree every year. That's still my favorite. Getting a real one. It's one of those things, like it makes no sense when you think about it, like logically, of you're getting this live tree. You're spending extra, more money than just getting a fake one. And you're planting this living tree in your house, and it's just going to stay for a couple months. But I love it. And just decorate it. I love doing that. The decorating it doesn't age well, we get more and more ornaments every year, and it just, it takes longer and longer, but it's fun listening to the Christmas music. And hey, when the snow was going out today, I was just listening to music, Christmas music, and getting ready for Christmas. So that's my favorite, Brad.
Yeah.
I don't know what yours is.
I agree with you, though, because so for those that don't know, I know that we've had a lot of awesome growth of this podcast. Me and PayPal, we are brothers. PayPal is not his actual last name. He's not the heir to the PayPal throne. Sorry to disappoint some people.
I wish.
Yeah, but I'm actually, because, I love it when we get the tree. And the best part about traditions, too, is the hassle. Like my wife and I were talking about this. We're like, what makes a good tradition is how much hassle is there, where whenever we get a tree, we know we're just going to get a pre-cut tree because we always get a huge tree for our parents. And still we try and find a tree, and then we end up just going back, and it takes a half hour just to roam the tree lot to just try and find the right tree when we know darn well that we're not going to choose these trees. But
it makes no sense, but that's what makes it fun, That's what makes it fun.
But I'll actually say one of my favorite traditions that's starting up now is me and my in-laws, because we celebrate outside of the Christmas holiday. And I got to show everybody, I will post this out on Instagram or out on YouTube as well, and probably on Twitter too. My father-in-law made an awesome Chicago Bears locker for my son, and I will post it out there. You got to see it. And
it's really cool.
One of our traditions is when all the kids fall asleep, all the adults sit together and we're all hanging out and we play like a game, like a Cards Against Humanity. And one of my sister-in-laws is very, very like sheltered religious type of thing. And we always hold our like nastiest, gruesome cards just for her. And it's just become a tradition where we just want to hear her say random things.
So, say those things that she would never ever say, and like, she just probably completely appalled at.
Yeah, but
that's funny.
It's all funny. It's all fun, and traditions are just incredible. If anyone listening or watching out on YouTube has any awesome traditions, let us know. But this year, we'll be watching a lot of football. There's so many good games. Saturday, Sunday, Bears play on Saturday. Remember that. Make sure to put your Christmas Eve plans around the Bears game. So let's stop talking a little bit about Christmas. Let's get into this preview with the offensive preview, defensive preview, who has the edge, over-unders, game predictions, and the almost always perfect, the game simulation at the very end. So let's get this thing started with the Bears offense versus this Buffalo defense. So this Bears offense comes in ranked 22nd, according to Football Outsiders DVOA, 27th pass and 9th in the run. But also on the other side, the Bills come in as the 5th best defense, according to Football Outsiders, 7th against the pass, 3rd against the run. And if you're more of a stats guy, they are middle of the road in passing yards allowed at 219. They are the 6th lowest in rushing yards allowed at 106, but also the 11th least blitz percentage at 20% and 11th best pressure rate at 23.2. So PayPal, overall, this defense is good. So that's the thing that feel like, I don't know, they're just all around good. This entire team, the more that I looked into it, they're just freaking good. But what's your impression?
Yeah, this is kind of what we've been expecting. We just faced the Eagles. We had this really tough stretch. Hopefully we can go defeated in this stretch, Brad. But yeah, when I look at this defense, I feel like they're so underrated as a run stuffing defense. I think when I always thought of the Bills, I thought of their great secondary. You know, you think of Poyer, you think of Tre'Davious White. And what really is like their main, spot is Matt Milano is very, very underrated. A lot of people were surprised that he didn't make the Pro Bowl because he's been kicking it up these last few years. And also with Tremaine Edmonds, a great guy to look at for this free agency, another free agency game for us. After the Eagles game, we were just basically scouting out our front seven. And then with this, it's like Tremaine Edmonds, like look out for him. That's a potential free agent next year. And their D tackles, Ed Oliver, he's one of my favorites. He's just one of those huge D tackles. And you just look at him and you're like, how can that guy move this quick? He's so strong. Like how is he like legal to play in the NFL? He's just a cheat code. So it's going to be, it seems like a game we'll have to rely on the pass, surprisingly, out of, and try not to run as much.
Yeah, I loved Ed Oliver coming out. I'm pretty sure so many people loved him too. And he's just an absolute freak. Also, shout out to Jeremy, who was able to be home while we're live. So way to go. That's awesome to hear. So, but one thing that I want to talk about, and unfortunately, this is like the second week in a row that the injuries are like the storylines for this week for this Bears offense.
Mm-hmm.
The first storyline is Teven Jenkins and Cody Whitehair, both doubtful, both not going to play, but it sounds like they're going to have Larry Bourne potentially at that left guard and have Schofield at the right guard. But that's just the rumor that's been going on. Matt Eberflus was asked about it and just mentioned that Larry Bourne has been out there and they like how he's been able to recover. PayPal, if you're the head coach, who are you starting out there at that guard position?
I think I gotta trust what he's seen. I mean, Larry Borum, maybe it's kind of the same thing we had with Teven Jenkins, where he's got that huge frame, so he's like built like a tackle, and then you're like, well, he's just not. It just doesn't feel like the right spot for him. So maybe it's the same thing with Larry Borum. I mean, we saw him not be kind of, allow kind of, the end spots just push him around. I don't think he gives up his ground way too much. And I think at this guard spot, having that big guy just helps the running game tremendously. So I'm a fan of having Larry Borum and Schofield out there. I think obviously we'd want Teven Jenkins, but doesn't look like he's going to be healthy. So I'm fine with it. Yeah.
And I'll say one thing too. I personally I just want to bring this up about Teven Jenkins. I was happy to see that he's doubtful, because that means that he's not on IR, right? We saw him go off on the stretcher.
Yeah.
If he was on IR, then I'm like, okay, what's going on with him? Is he all right? But doubtful at least shows, hey, he's not perfect. Obviously, he's not fully healthy, but it's not something that's potentially career ending, right?
Yeah, you see him on a stretcher. It's like with a neck injury. When I saw that, I was like, that could be a lifetime. That could end his career. When you think of neck, like that could just affect the spine, all that jazz. So that's a good point.
Renewable out here. He says Schofield isn't an answer going forward. Very good point. It's only 1 year. He says it's Carter time. And right now, PFF agrees with you. They have Ja'Tyre Carter as the starting left guard. I wouldn't mind seeing it, to be honest with you. I think it's a good point. I think that Leatherwood is like a big question mark. It seems like they want to keep him at tackle, but I think because of his shorter arms, he should try and be a guard. I think Leatherwood, you hide him again. But I agree with Renewable. If you want to see what you have, maybe you put Schofield, maybe you put Carter out there. I still think you keep Schofield out there just to kind of make sure that Ed Oliver just doesn't destroy everybody.
Yeah.
But I like the idea, though, of kind of those rotations that we do. Put out Carter for a little bit, put out Borum, do something like that. I
could totally see that happening. Like I would put my money on it of Schofield maybe starts the game, but then we'll see rotations come in of Carter or maybe Carter. That'd be fun to see him out there.
And PayPal, I got a bold take. If this was ESPN, I would say it straight up and then post it out there, and I would have made it I should have made it the thumbnail, but I'm not that desperate for clicks. So I want to bring this up because I think I would not be surprised if Teven Jenkins retires after this year. Bold take. I know.
Whoa.
I know. And I already know people tomorrow are going to be watching this on YouTube and be like, what do you mean? Think about it. It's not saying he will, but if you think about this, Teven Jenkins, there's a lot of questions about how dedicated is he to football, right? It's been buzzing around like crazy. And if you aren't dedicated to your job, and it's not an indictment on him. It's like if he himself as Teven Jenkins does not love playing in the NFL and you get wheeled out on a stretcher, don't tell me that he's not going to be sitting there going, I could have been paralyzed. I'm in this brutal game and I'm getting smacked around like crazy. It has nothing to do with his play on the field. He's been one of the best guards in the league. He's been one of the best the most underrated guard is Teven Jenkins. But I'm not going to lie. I guarantee it. He's probably thinking a little bit like, maybe I dodged a bullet. Maybe what do I want to do now? Because his heart in the game has always been a question since he's been coming out. And it's
a little Andrew Luck situation. That's why Andrew Luck retired. It's one of those things. I think it's a very unlikely chance, but you have a point, and it would be very. Hey, I don't know if you stepped in like a time machine, Brad, and you just didn't tell me, and discovered just time travel, and now you're just playing a sick trick on us. But
I think it could be like, I'm just saying, it's not like definite. Jeremy doesn't agree with it, and I think that's where it is a bold take, right? It is a very bold take, and I'm not saying definitely, but I'm saying it might be. I wouldn't be surprised if I start hearing that he's debating retirement because of like, if you're in the factory and you don't like working in a factory and you almost get your limbs chopped off, you'd be like, is this worth it? Like, he's already made like a lifetime supply of money. So that's the thing. Like, I'm really curious because of his back injury, of his neck injury, of all these things that are piling up. And Renewable says, bold indeed. Yeah. Low key, I could see Poles trading him. Bad neck, back, hip, his heart plus mental challenge. Exactly. Like, the hardest part is he's so good. And I think, too, if you are a physical beast and you go against other people, it's got to be hard. And I hear former professional athletes talk about it all the time. It's about your heart being in the game. You need to be invested in it. You don't just wake up and start playing. You got to be invested fully. And it's always seemed like he hasn't been that way, and does a near big time injury kind of scare him away at all. But no more hot takes for me. Now everything's going to be tame. I'm just going to do chalk now for the rest of the show.
I love it, Brad. It's one of those it's like a thought exercise, like it's something I never thought about, and like I could see it happening, but it's out in the air. You jinxed it, so it won't happen. So that's good.
So let's talk about actual healthy people. Khalil Herbert's coming back, and do you know why I'm excited? N'Keal Harry. What I'm excited about too is, guess what defense has the most missed tackles? Yes, they have these good linebackers, but the Bills have the most missed tackles in the league. Bears like to run short game. When you talk about it being cold out there, these people, 76 missed tackles on the year. They miss tackles. And who breaks tackles? Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert, David Montgomery, Justin Fields. I think this is going to be, I think overall the cold plays well into this. And I could see Khalil Herbert getting a decent game going on the ground. But PayPal, who are you thinking? Like, with the running game, who do you think kind of gets kickstarted?
Yeah, he's got to. Dave Montgomery, it's one of those things I've been hoping for him to get kickstarted every week, and it just seems like he's still he doesn't. He gets his 3-4 yards a carry, and that's about it. So I agree with you. I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Fields has, like Jeremy says, like 200 rushing yards.
Yeah,
he's unstoppable. Like, we see it day in and day out. We just see how well he plays, and it's good because hopefully he just doesn't get his hamstring tightness anymore. He will actually get his IV. He will actually be hydrated before the game, because it's silly where he's saying how he just didn't think he was gonna get cramps because it was cold. Because it's like, okay, I'm not sweating. It's like, well, you're still burning calories and making all this, doing all of that. So crazy stuff by Justin Fields, but I know he's gonna have a great running game, and it's a good point. Like, the Bills, well, I'll talk about it, like during the offensive segment for them, but it's like they were supposed to be this insane team when they first, week one, and they were absolutely dominant. And now they're kind of like, you can see the cracks in their armor, like they're not that like dominant team that everyone was expecting in the beginning of the season. They have 4 losses, I believe, now, and it's just they don't look as dominant. So after how we played against the Eagles, I wouldn't be surprised if our offense did as well as they did last week.
And I seriously can't wait to see Herbert back out there, because I was listening to some Buffalo. I was pulling a you, PayPal. I was listening to some Buffalo Bills talk about this, and they're like, they are nervous about Khalil Herbert. And I love hearing that because he's such an unknown name. But they're like, that guy just breaks tackles. That guy breaks loose. And I forgot what it is. I think it's like 1/5 of his carries go for over 18 yards. It's nuts. Like, it's crazy how good he's been at just busting out big plays. I'm excited to have him back. And PayPal too, even though that I like Football Outsiders DVOA, that says they're the third best running team, just saying, even though that they allow the 6th lowest rushing yards, Bills have a powerful offense. They take leads. People start running the football. Passing the football more to try and catch up.
True.
And also, they allow 4.4 yards per carry. We allow 4.6. Let's let that sink in. So they're not unstoppable up front. And that's where I still believe that we can get this going. And also, too, when you're going against a Justin Fields-led offense, it's completely different. But PayPal, you also mentioned N'Keal Harry coming back. EQ St. Brown's going to be out. Chase Claypool's going to be out. So probably Simba Webster's going to be called up again. But I'm actually low-key excited.
I'm excited too, Brad.
Who do you think's going off today at the wide receiver position?
It's one of those things. I want it to be N'Keal Harry. I want him to have that all-star game we've been waiting for, because he has that high expectations behind him. And we've seen those spurts of that last catch where he landed on his back so hard, but it was an insane jump ball catch. And then he also had that touchdown a couple weeks ago. But he's been an exciting player. But Simba, we saw his explosiveness and his ability to get open last week. Like, he had that nervousness you could tell in the first catch of his NFL career. But after that, it's like they just kept going back to him. So I'm excited to just see these guys play that we have not seen the entire season, basically. So yeah, we're not confident in EQ. We haven't really seen much from Pringle. So bring on the new guys.
Well, that's what I'm excited about too, because I think Pringle and Harry are going to be bringing it. This is their tryout. This is their opportunity. They're playing for the next team and maybe trying to stay on with the Bears. I don't see them staying on with the Bears, but it's really going to be that next deal. Harry has the opportunity in a spot that people are saying this is one of the worst wide receiving cores, especially with Mooney being out. Why aren't you making a difference? Justin Fields is turning a lot of heads. Why aren't you making a difference? So I think Harry and Pringle are going to ball out. And I know that I said I wouldn't do any bold takes. This isn't that bold, but it sounded like they wanted to discipline Velus Jones for fumbling the football and doing another boneheaded play. I think Simba Webster gets more playing time than him because he's more of a reliable receiver. And he proved it more last week too. And he's more of a playmaker out there. So I think that's what I'm excited to see out there. So Renewable saying all Pringle does is catch touchdowns.
Same with N'Keal Harry. It's all big plays of those guys. So like, I'm excited to see both of them.
We're throwing 12 touchdowns. 12 touchdowns is what we're going for. So
no more bold takes, but that was not a bold take. So
and Reload saying I'm ready for off season, Brad. Me too. I think it's so funny though too, for everybody that just looks at us on YouTube. Our off-season shows, that's my favorite time of year. I love going in the off-season. I love the show that we do in the off-season too, because I feel like we just do it different than other people. Everybody says they do it different, but I think our topics in the off-season are so interesting.
It's so fun.
I don't like flexing, but I really like our off-season content, draft content, everything that we do. So Reload, I'm right there with you, man. I'm excited. So PayPal, let's wrap up this offense. We already know that there's going to be a lot of running going on. What is your monster matchup on this offensive side of the ball for the Bears?
I think it's that tackle spot, Brad. We'll see if we can stop. Is it Greg
Rousseau?
Yeah, Greg Rousseau. If we can stop him, after that terrible performance by Alex Leatherwood. That was my game last week against the Eagles to really see if we do need to get some offensive linemen, and we do need to get some offensive linemen in free agency. So after seeing Alex Leatherwood, it's just that matchup at that right tackle spot who's going to be there and who's going to stop him, and who's going to step up and not let up 3 sacks for Rousseau, because that just completely messed up the flow of the offense last game. So that's my matchup.
All right. And my matchup to watch, I'm sticking with Braxton Jones, and I'm going to go with Shaq Lawson then. So if you have Rousseau, I'm going Shaq Lawson versus Braxton Jones. Braxton Jones continues to be the best offensive lineman on the team. I mean, Teven Jenkins, when healthy, is the best. But I think Braxton Jones is showing that he is the guy. And at that left tackle, he's heading into it to the end of the season, home stretch. He's been balling. Braxton needs to keep showing that he is the left tackle of the future. That's my matchup to watch. But PayPal, X Factors, who you got? Who's your X Factor on this offense?
We were talking about him earlier. I think I want N'Keal Harry. N'Keal Harry's my X Factor. He's got to step up. Just show us what you got, and please don't get hurt, because he when he's been playing, he's been so fun to watch. So N'Keal Harry.
All right, and my X Factor, Khalil Herbert, because I think that Khalil Herbert, obviously he loves David Montgomery, but he has the opportunity to say, this is my job, right? Take your lead back role job, show what you're capable of. Doesn't mean that he's going to be the lead back moving forward, but when he comes back in, these guys miss tackles. Show what you can do and show the dynamicism you bring into this team. So that's the thing. I don't even know if that's a real word.
Yeah,
he's dynamic.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith. Yeah. You come with these hot takes, dynamicism. What the heck, Fred? What is going on?
Yeah, dynamicism. Not sure. Somebody Google that. I don't think that's an actual word. But he's dynamic as heck. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited to see him out there. I'm pumped. He gives it 125%. Just like our sponsor, BetUS.com. BetUS.com. Use promo code UNBEARABLE to get 125% back on your first deposit. So, free money. Life is back on, sports bettors, and you got to use the best in the industry. BetUS.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. You can also just click the link below in the description and then sign up. Just use code word UNBEARABLE. They always like to force in their own promo code. Ours gives you the exact same thing, and it helps out the show tremendously. So, and also, Jeremy with the great X Factor, the weather, right?
Yeah.
The weather for the offense is going to be huge because it's going to be cold. It's going to be real cold out there. And PayPal, you look like you're looking up the word dynamicism right now.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. There's dynamism. Yeah, it's not. Maybe in Urban Dictionary, maybe, but not in the English dictionary. Not Merriam-Webster.
Yeah, this is why I was always bad in English class. Just making up words, dynamicism. Last time I tried to go outside my comfort zone in vocabulary today. So let's go over to the defense. Bears defense versus the Bills offense. Bears defense, we are 31st. So we're getting a little bit better. We are 32nd according to Football Outsiders DVOA. We are 30th against the pass, 27th against the run. And on the other side of things, we're going against the 4th best offense according to Football Outsiders, 3rd best pass, 15th best run. Now, overall, they're good. Even though that they're ranked 15th according to Football Outsiders, the running attack is 8th in the league. They get 135 rushing yards, and their yards per carry is 4th in the league at 5 rushing yards. But also, they're passing overall 5th most passing yards per game at 265. But interesting thing too, footballreference.com also has their running attack as the 14th. So even though that their stats are high from the running game, the analytics do not really love their rushing attack. But PayPal, we have no Vilder, and also the greatest linebacker in the history of the Chicago Bears, Jack Sanborn, is out for the remainder of the freaking season. PayPal.
That is sad.
What do you think? Like, who are we watching now that Sanborn's out? I asked this last show, but who are you watching?
Hey, Joe Thomas. I've been really liking Joe Thomas. I was a Joe Thomas. I was on the Matt Adams train, and then Matt Adams he's a special teamer. But Joe Thomas, like, he's been kind of a standout guy for me. Like the 2 games before, he's had like 3 pass deflections. He was swatting balls. He was everywhere. And then same with the last game. Like, I didn't see much of a shift as I thought I would when Sanborn was out. It's not like the defense was just like discombobulated. We were still able to stop the run. They just kind of got lucky with a lot of deep balls, which is not really the linebacker's fault. So, hey, I'm looking at Joe Thomas. Like, he's another guy that's working for his job, and I could see as like a backup for us next year.
Yeah, I like him too. And yeah, Joe Thomas looking good. He's a vet, right? And he can be just an easy person that you throw in every time he's out there. He's good. I like what Jeremy's saying. Brisker is somebody for sure. Renewable was talking about having, Kyler Gordon. I think that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Brisker and Gordon, definitely, just to see what they're capable of doing out there. But PayPal, I got to say, when I was preparing for this, I'm not trying to like say that they're not that good. Obviously, they're the freaking Bills, right? But kind of like what Reload is saying with Allen and Diggs, like Allen and Diggs to me are really what makes this team tick. Now, PFF grades aren't everything, but PFF does not love this offensive line with Saffold, Van Rotten, and I got to go up here to grab this comment. Like Ryan Bates, the Hall of Fame guard that we got, that former Chicago Bear rumor, Ryan Bates, where we threw out the restricted free agent, but ended up re-signing with the Bills. We'll see what ends up happening, but overall, this line has not been great. Spencer Brown is their right tackle, has not been very, and I still think it just boils down to Allen and Diggs.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen, like, he's still the guy though. He has those incredible plays, but like unlike a Patrick Mahomes, he'll have Patrick Mahomes does have mistakes, and people just don't call him out on it. At least the media doesn't. But Josh Allen, I'm pretty sure he still has the most amount of interceptions in the entire league out of quarterbacks. So he's a very risky player. I mean, when it pays off, it looks cool as heck. But he's risky when he throws the ball. So this is a game, Brad. I think our defense could get some takeaways again. You know, we saw how we were just all over them with 3 takeaways last week and somehow didn't win the game, even though we have the turnover margin. But I'm looking for our defense to do the same this week, whether it's like 2 interceptions and, a silly little fumble. Like, I could see fumbles left and right with this cold weather, right? So, yeah, we'll see.
Agreed. 11 interceptions for Josh Allen on this year. That's going to be huge. We need to get a big interception out of here some way. And yeah, I like the idea of Jalen Johnson getting an interception, kind of trying to cement himself going against Stephon Diggs. They're going to be trying to feed Diggs. I love the idea of just keeping him out on that outside spot.
Oh, yeah.
Now, rewatching the game, Jalen Johnson didn't have as amazing of a game as I thought against AJ Brown, but still, like, he still was able to, like, he still played well, right? It's not like it was terrible, but we'll see what he does against another top tier wide receiver in Stephon Diggs, and hopefully we can end up turning the ball over. Maybe Kyler Gordon again. And also down in the comments, we're getting some posts on, hey, we signed some people. Yeah, just a little bit of updates with this Bears roster. We released Justin Lane, the defensive back, so no longer on the team.
Oh, dang.
We signed Keone Dang who's a linebacker, and Terrell Lewis, who's a defensive lineman. We also signed Elijah Lee, who's an inside linebacker. Jack Sanborn was placed on injured reserve, and Harrison Hand, the defensive back, to the active roster. So I don't expect Hand to be out there, but still, I think this is just showing that Vildor's time is probably done this year, and they just want somebody back out there to be out there. So it'll be an interesting game for sure. And yeah, I'm not too afraid of the run. I mean, I feel like they're going to be running it a lot more because of the cold weather, because of the and Singletary doesn't really scare me all that much. But
no, he's not like an explosive guy. He's not like a tough run. He's just kind of a mid running back. So that's why I don't think their running attack is very scary. And maybe, I don't think their offensive line are the best physical blockers because they pass it like 50 times a game. So when you're always in that defensive mode as offensive lineman, that just doesn't help you in the long run. So yeah, in this cold weather, we'll see if they run it or pass it. But I remember when they faced the New England Patriots just ran the ball and the Bills tried to pass it and the Bills end up losing. So
yeah, I kind of like this. I like this overall. We have DHC, your boy, in the back. So I'm actually kind of feeling good about this because of the weather. I think the weather gives us a dynamic, a lot of dynamicism, PayPal. A lot of dynamicism. Yeah, great dynamicism from the from it all. So
is that a noun?
it's a noun and an adjective. Is what we're going for. But anything else? Because otherwise, I'm down for monster matchups, X factors, and just getting straight into it.
Jalen Jones, I'm still surprised how they have him out there. I don't think he's maybe I haven't watched the film correctly, but he didn't seem like he was like doing too bad last week. I mean, I'm not too mad that Vildor's out. Let's just say that. Like, I don't think it's as big as a downgrade as we would think.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think you're watching the tape wrong. You're probably watching it right. Like Jalen Jones has been so bad, but then I think that he's been getting a little bit better with some of the other games out there. So let's go into the monster matchups. And PayPal, I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to go first for this one because I
okay.
Yeah. You know what?
All right.
Proving that dynamicism isn't a word really got me fired off now. So I'm going to go first with the my monster matchup. My big matchup is Trevis Gipson versus Spencer Brown, that right tackle. Because that, to me, if you can get in the face of Josh Allen and we can at least get a push of some sort, that's huge. I don't expect anything else from anybody. And that's where Trevis Gipson needs to have a big game. It's at Chicago. I think that is a huge matchup because if he can get pressure, this is different. Now you're forcing him to go to the left side. He's a right-handed quarterback. He now has to make the adjustment. Obviously, he's one of the best quarterbacks. He can do that, but it still just makes things a little trickier for him. And also, I just forgot to say this. Dawson Knox is the most overrated tight end in the league. I don't care if he gets a touchdown. I just want to say that, like, when we're talking about how good Cole Kmet is, people still treat Dawson Knox like he walks on water. So just had to get a little jab at him. But PayPal, what's your monster matchup?
Man, I didn't know it was so personal, Brad.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you like stole your lunch money or something, but yeah, my monster matchup. I want to say the weather again because I could see it playing really, really big with what you're saying. Where if we get Josh Allen to roll to the left, like it's hard enough to throw it off your, run to the left, but with the snow and the weather, that's impossible. But I think Jalen Johnson is my monster matchup. He's going against Stephon Diggs, another huge matchup for him, and I still think he had a better game that we've seen him before. Like before, it seemed like the injury was still lingering with him. He looked slow, but now he's getting that swagger back. AJ Brown had an impressive stat line, but Jalen Hurts had very impressive throws where it's like he guarded as well as he could. So I think Jalen Johnson is up for another tough matchup, and I think he can do it. You know, Stephon Diggs, best route runner in the NFL. So
phenomenal. Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see, because I mean they still have Gabe Davis. We haven't talked a lot about the wide receivers, Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie. My feeling on them is they remind me a lot of like the Kansas City wide receivers, like Byron Pringle, where I feel they're fast. I feel they're good in the offense. But if we sign Davis, I'm not like, oh, we got a guy. Like,
Yeah.
I think that he plays that's where I think that people aren't giving Diggs enough credit for what he's been able to do with Josh Allen and just the importance of having a number one wide receiver out there because he commands a double team. He commands everything. So I love that matchup. So PayPal, my X factor, because I'm going first again. Oh crap, I totally forgot. My X factor, I got it now, is Nicholas Morrow. Because I think that Nicholas Morrow, we had talked about Joe Thomas. Nicholas Morrow, he's the guy now, right? He is the guy that they're like, all right, you're the starter. And when he was the middle linebacker, or when he was the linebacker for he was the middle linebacker for Roquan, but weak side linebacker for Sanborn. And no matter what, he was always number 2. He was always Robin. We need him to be Batman. And that's why I think, to me, it's going to be huge for him. Outplay Joe Thomas. Outplay if Matt Adams is out there. Outplay these guys because you were supposed to be this starter and you were supposed to be the guy. It's going to be a cold running game, and you are this undersized linebacker. Get your money. Show what you're capable of. That's why, to me, Nicholas Morrow is the X factor.
I love it, Brad. I love it. Yeah, I always liked Nicholas Morrow, and he's been disappointing for me. So I'm hoping he does well. But yeah, my X factor, I feel like I always take him, but it's Brisker. I love Brisker so much, and the way he changes the game, like how fast he is, how aggressive he is, like he is going to change the game, and he can. And I'm still thinking with this weather, like you could see a lot of misthrown balls, maybe, floating too high, where Brisker has a chance to just pick off those bad throws. So, hey, he's always aggressive in the run game as well. And we'll see if he's rushes the passer. Maybe strip sack. That'd be fun. But yeah. Hey, Brisker, X factor. He always changes the game. When he does well, the defense does well.
I like that. And that even reminded me of Gordon too. Gordon, I think is like he's the honorary, the runner up X factor. I feel we could both agree on that. Where Gordon, let's see another big play. Let's see your athleticism against these athletic receivers. But yeah, Brisker, I love looking at PFF grades when someone's good.
Right.
And Brisker, 14th best pass rush grade, 35th coverage, and 37th run defense, the 33rd overall safety, according to Pro Football Focus. So I think overall. So we'll see. And then renewable prop bet, Blackwell, forced fumble on special teams.
Oh, wow.
I like that. We'll see if he could force that fumble and get somebody to drop it, but I do miss Blackwell out there at that slot corner spot for the Bears. Even though it's nice seeing Gordon, even though it's awesome to see him do great, you just want to see what we have because we know in the offseason we're going to go, remember that game Blackwell had? Oh.
Yeah. Brad, quick thing, because I think I'm like Blackwell, he deserves like a Pro Bowl spot, how well he's playing on the special teams. Maybe I'm just a crazy Bears fan, but he's been playing really well. Like he always gets a tackle. Like he's always the person down there, and it's always a great tackle. It's not just it's very good. Did you see how Roquan, out of us complaining that he deserves to be in the Pro Bowl for being a Bear, he's finally in the Pro Bowl?
Seriously?
Roquan Smith. Now he's on the Ravens, and now he's in the Pro Bowl. I thought that was so funny. I was like, wow, like, I guess he's probably happy now, He probably is very happy he made the right decision. But
I'm just sick of Roquan. Like, I am so sick of Roquan Smith because I don't know if I was listening to our friend Kenneth Davis, like on his show. Kenneth had Adam Schefter on. And
okay.
what Adam told him was that Roquan Smith that just further confirmed that the Bears gave him an offer to make him as highly paid as Darius Leonard, but he turned him down. And to me, I'm like, then screw you, right?
Yeah.
Bears, I don't care about some of the ins and outs, maybe, but it's like they tried to make you one of the highest paid linebackers in a year that people aren't trying to pay linebackers. Just do it, man. Like, stay home with it. And yeah, so to me,
it's funny.
To me, I think this is going to be a Le'Veon Bell situation where, not saying he's going to fall off, but just like with Le'Veon Bell, where Bell basically had all this money that he could have gotten from the Steelers. And then he's like, no, he goes out in free agency and then made significantly less. He's still going to get a bag, but it's not going to be as big as what the Bears would have offered him. And he'll never fully admit that, but still, we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, so we shall see. Also, Renewable says, happy Festivus, everybody. And yeah, that's why I was airing my grievances at you, PayPal, correcting me. That's why I took the monster matchup first. But let's go. So let's go to the next segment. And do you know what that is? Because we have gone through the offense and we have gone through the defense. That leaves us with the most important segment, the special teams review. PayPal, unfortunately, this might actually be interesting. What?
Yeah.
Because Santos, Velus, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts about Santos in the first place? Is he actually going to kick the football today? Or
Saturday? I think they'll probably bring up his his kicking limit to like maybe 10 yards away, so maybe he can only get like a 30-yard field goal. Maybe we won't go for extra points, honestly. We'll see. We see how that goes.
Yeah,
because after last week, if you can't kick in that weather, this weather, I don't think you can kick either. Like, he's got to be for sure missed the first one, so we might be going for 2, honestly, if we're being serious, because it's with how he's been playing and how inconsistent. I get it. It's Bears. It was windy last week too, and but it's kind of ridiculous. Like, you miss out on one easy point, and it's probably a higher percentage trying to get those 2 points rather than the field goal.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, just have him kick. That's my take on it, at least. Because if he misses a bunch of kicks, then he made your decision. You get rid of him, right?
Okay, yeah.
Anytime that he says, I would ask him, I'd be like, Cairo, can you make that? And he says, yeah, totally. And he misses it. I'd be like, dude, what was that? I think that they should just do that, because you're not trying to win games here. You're just trying to play. And you're also trying to evaluate the roster. And if somebody on your roster keeps missing field goals, he's just making up your mind for you. And still, no matter what, you want to have a competition. But yeah, it sounded like he was saying he was trying to do something different. He was trying to be on one hash mark and keep kicking so that it was just muscle memory. But then it got into his head. It's like, that's the problem. Kickers can't think. They just do. And when you get into your own head, that's what happened to Robbie Gould. That's why he still credits and thanks the Bears for getting rid of him, because then it kind of brought him back to reality. It's so much in his head. But Renewable saying 30-mile-per-hour winds out there, it's going to be crazy. So there's also that too. I would just ask him, and yeah, if he misses it, so be it. But like, it'll be a very interesting game. But Velus, I want to bring this stat up. So Velus will be returning kicks, but this is the 4th best kick return team out there. And they allow 19.4 yards per kick return on 40 returns, which is the 4th most. So they have a large sample size, and they stop them. They stop them very, very well. I want to see what Velus can do. Keep that in mind when you see him going. This is a very good kick return defense. So if he's doing well, it's really kind of adding to him being this great special teams player.
Yeah, I think we've been seeing more confidence out of him. Like we saw him, like the first week when he was returning kicks, like not even return a single one, just because he would just stay in his little spot. If it went a little bit too far to the left, too far back, like they would not allow him to even return it. But we've seen him like go almost out of bounds on the right side of the, sideline and return the kick. Like they're getting confidence in him at returning kicks at least. Now it's just holding that ball high and tight. Like he was holding it so loose, like it made sense why he fumbled it. Cover that ball up. Cover that ball up when you're getting hit. So
come on, Smith Marset. And two, speaking of that, another big thing to keep in mind, hold on to the ball when it's in the air. With the 30-mile-per-hour winds, it's going to be blowing around like they're like crazy. The punts, the kicks, it's going to be nuts out there. So that's what makes me feel good about having Dante Pettis back there, veteran return man. But yeah, Velus, I can't see him. If I were the Bills, I'd give him opportunities because that wind is going to kind of throw him off a little bit. Rookie's in his head. We'll see what ends up happening. PayPal, let's go through who has the edge. So let's see. I'll let you start with this one.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome. I'm done with my grievances.
No, you can have it.
No.
No, you can have it. No, you can have it.
I insist. So the Bills run defense versus the Bears running offense.
I think I did talk about how they have a good run defense, just with Ed Oliver. I really like Ed Oliver and their linebackers, but I think with Khalil Herbert, it outweighs all that. I mean, he's a fantastic runner, and he gave us a stat. He always is due for a breakout run. So I think the Bears run game wins this one.
Okay, there you go. And then I have Bears passing offense versus the Bills passing defense. Bills have a good pass defense. Tre'Davious White, though, has struggled since coming back off of injury. So that is a matchup to at least look out for. But with the Bears having just a bunch of mid-level players that are out there playing, it's hard to not take the Bills. They're a good defense for a reason. Bears are still trying to get their feet underneath them. I'm going with the Bills pass defense. PayPal, Bears run defense versus the Bills run offense.
Ooh, this is actually
this is
tougher one because
this is hard.
Our run defense has looked actually surprisingly better in the past few weeks. I mean, ever since the Sanborn, that whole
R.I.P.
R.I.P. But yeah, I'm not worried about Devin Singletary. They're not the best blocking receivers. I'm gonna give our defense the edge on this one, Brad. It's a weird take, but I could see we've been feisty in the run defense. We haven't had those crazy breakout runs like we've had before. We've been minimizing them. Our defensive line actually seems like they're getting tackles now. It's still not as much as we want, but it's getting up there.
They're at least falling at the feet of people. Yeah, it's
yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I see you. So then last but not least, I have the Bills passing offense versus the Bears passing defense. And to me, it's pretty simple. Josh Allen. You go Josh Allen all day. Even though that the Bears passing defense looks slightly better, we still gave up 300 yards. So what are you going to do? We go against one MVP candidate to the next. This is going to be difficult. So let's go through. So it's split right down the middle. Let's go through some over and unders. Now, this one I've actually put money on this one. Using betus.com with promo code unbearable. But the plus minus, Bears are getting plus 9.5 right now. What would you take?
Ooh. I think you can't take. I mean, we've had close games, it seems, every week. So I think you just gotta take the under. You gotta, you can't take that over. You gotta, because the Bears have been really real close for every single game. So I don't like that one.
Yeah. So yeah, to me, I actually took the Bears plus 9.5 just because I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that it's going to be a close game at least. So the over under is 40.5, or right now it's gone down to 40 now.
Oh,
But yeah, it's
wow.
about 40.5. I'm actually going under. I actually
Interesting.
I don't know. I would stay away, but actually I'd go over just because I think with Josh like you have two running quarterbacks. I think with the running game, I think with the amount of points that they give up, yeah, I'm going to go over for that. But let's see a player prop for you. I'm going to grab this. One of my favorite player props. Actually, I won't give you Justin Fields. I'll give you Josh Allen. Josh Allen.
Okay.
His passing yards is 221.5.
That's the thing with the weather. That's
Yep.
like that just makes all these bets even tougher. The secondary, they gave up a lot of big plays last week. I think that's under. I think that's under 220.
Okay.
A lot of passing yards for 30-mile-per-hour winds and snow.
Okay. And let's see. I don't know what do you have one in mind that I can look up for you? I'm trying to think of you know what? I'll do Justin Fields over 74.5 rushing yards. And I'm actually going to go with the under on that. Actually over.
Yeah.
Over, just because you're talking about the breaking tackles that he could potentially do. I think they will be running the ball out there a little bit more than average. So I think that he's going to feel like he just has to put the team on his back. And I think ultimately he ends up running. So we'll see what that ends up doing. We should actually probably jot these down to see, all right, if someone were to bet on our makeshift.
Yeah, are they doing well or not?
Yeah, it's just like, you guys got 2 right out of 50.
Yeah, I thought we had a lot more followers, but it seems like people just probably have to sell their computers and get rid of their Wi-Fi at home. They've been losing so much money.
Yeah, they've been using our betting advice. This is not betting advice. This is just but let's go over to the last segment, our game predictions. And for those watching live, let me know your game predictions down below. For those watching after the fact, put your game predictions down too out on YouTube. And also, if you're just listening, say it to yourself. Chuckle a little bit under your breath at the office. But no, game predictions. So who do we think is going to win? PayPal, who you got? Actually, before you do that, I forgot to do this. I felt like I was forgetting something. We have to talk about our standings. The coin flip is 10-4. The simulation is 9-4. I'm 9-5.
We don't have to say anything, Brad. We don't have to say anything. I'm trying to get a lead. I'm trying to just be different. I know we're gonna lose, but I'm trying to get that edge. I'm trying to get that extra win. So
we can have you go last if you want to.
Oh no, I can still go first.
Okay.
I know what you're gonna pick.
Well, you don't know what the coin flip, the almighty coin flip.
True. True. Yeah, I'll go last.
You want to go last? Okay, here we go. So we got the coin flip. Let me switch over to where it zooms in on me. There we go. Just kicked PayPal out of the meeting, but we can still hear you. I have to watch an ad. Okay, here we go. The coin flip. So heads is Bears, tails is the Bills. And let's see, it's flipping, and tails. It is taking the Bills. So
this thing is on fire.
This thing knows what it's doing, man. So it's taking the Bills, and it might be right because I'm taking the Bills as well. I think that, like I said, I put money on the Bears plus 9.5. I think that the Bears are going to at least keep it close. I think that it's going to be a low scoring affair. So I think overall the Bears at least keep it close. But I think let's see. I think ultimately the game ends up being 23-17. And we end up kicking. So I think 23-17, kind of low scoring, right at that 40 mark. And ultimately the Bears end up losing, but we get a couple turnovers. The key, if we were to win, would be more turnovers. And I think a couple big runs by Justin Fields takes us over to the next level. But PayPal, it's still not your turn. I got to share the screen with, wait for it, the simulation. So here we go. We got the simulation. Share that. All right. So the simulation, let's set this at home at Chicago with the Buffalo Bills. And remember last week it was 50-50, but they still chose it. So drum roll, please, as the Bears-Bills matchup. Let's see what the simulation has to say. And hey, pal, you could have just gone anyways because it chose the Bills 64.3%. So we have all three of us going with the Bills. They're projecting 167 with Fields. I doubt that it takes account the weather, but it might. I'm not sure. So I'll stop sharing that. Hey, pal, we got all three going Bills. Are you trying to take some ground?
Hey, I'm always trying to win. So I'm going to say the Bears are going to win. They're going to win this game. They're going to win. And I was trying to do a lot of mental math in my head while you're doing all this. Because I do believe that the 2-point conversion is going to be in play this game. Okay. So my score that I have is 25-22 with the Bills getting, two 2-point conversions and then failing on one of them. And then the Bears getting 2, failing on 1, but then getting a field goal with Cairo Santos to win the game.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, and he redeems himself. We all love Cairo. Dantos, we like to call him. Yeah. But yeah, I think the Bears come out with at least 2 takeaways, whether that's a fumble and a pick or 2 picks and 2 fumbles. Just with this weather, craziness is going to happen. We're going to see something on special teams. That's a fact. So it's going to be a fun game. I always like weather game spread. I don't know. I think some people are like, I forgot what the reporter, is it Kurt Warner? He is all about, let's just play indoors. Football's a lot more fun. It's a lot higher scoring. But I'm all about the weather. I think it's fun. It adds something. You don't see that in any other sport.
Yeah, I like it. I like it overall. I think I like them being outside. And so I don't mind the Bears moving away from Chicago. I'm more about the whole the roof or no roof, because I get the practicality of it, but I love the weather. Anytime I play Madden, I like to make sure it's snowing or raining. Yeah. I don't like just the generic, it's in a dome. I like playing in the weather. I like seeing games in the weather. I like that it adds this extra layer about it too. That's just my feeling. But PayPal, it's the same though. If we're all dropping what's going on, it's still, if you're watching this game, you can still have a Merry Christmas if the Bears win, and you can still have a Merry Christmas if the Bears lose. Just look at some Will Anderson, Jalen Carter type of tape, because the more that you hear, the more that you see it, these guys are 2 blue chip defensive game changers that the Bears can get at the top of the draft. And we are at that number 2 position. So I'm excited to go through more draft stuff in a couple weeks. But right now, we get to sit back with our loved ones, watch some good football, hopefully, and just enjoy it. So whatever happens, everyone have a Merry Christmas out there. And honestly, it's just going to be a good time. With that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we're out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a